Village Heart Runs. The weekend is almost here.
This is the morning sports desk for Thursday, October 19th. Corey, high school football on the airwaves last night. It was Staples-Motley getting the win over Wadena Deer Creek 49-7. The Cardinals finished the season 7-1 after going winless a year ago. Wadena Deer Creek moves to 2-6. Playoff positions were pretty much set coming into the game last night, but something that is really cool yesterday, and we talked about this off air, Corey, we got to have Cardinals play-by-play guy Tyler Brunwald join us on the sports desk. Mm-hmm. And he mentioned something about Elijah Clausen, who's a lineman, 267 pounds or something like that on the program. And Tyler said, hey, they like to use him as a running back in what Tyler would call the beefy package, what the Cardinals coaching staff would call the tank package.
Right.
And we got to see that a little bit yesterday. Clausen had a couple, runs of 10 plus yards, but you also got to see him in that game, Corey.
Yeah.
He had a pick six on defense.
What?
Yeah. So he intercepted a screen pass and took it 25 yards to the house for a touchdown.
Jeez.
Cardinals defensive lineman. So he not only had a couple big yards on the ground, he had a pick six, and in that beefy package, I'm going to call it that because that's just more.
That's a much better name. Where's the beef?
I mean, why aren't we printing T-shirts of that right now?
It's so good.
So good. Get on it,
Cardinals Nation. If you are listening right now, this is a good football team. You need a "Where's the Beef" package T-shirt.
Please be wearing that to your playoff game on Saturday.
100%.
Please. And he, instead of running the ball, gets the direct snap. He goes back to pass and throws a beauty to the back corner of the end zone for a touchdown to, I believe, Colby Tappy. So it was So
he had rushing yards in this game, passing yards in this game,
and a passing touchdown.
A passing touchdown, an interception for a touchdown. He's an offensive and defensive lineman.
Yes.
He's the LaDainian Tomlinson of small high school offensive lineman football. Yes, I put him on my fantasy team immediately. I have Derrick Henry. He's doing nothing.
Dirk Schultz joins us on our broadcast, and he was saying pregame, he was watching him throw, and he said, honestly, like, it's a tight spiral. It's a good throw. He can legitimately sling it. And when he got to throw it in the game, it was fun to watch. That was not an easy pass. And good. It's been
perfect time for them to use that, by the way, too, right? Because that game was not a good game.
Yeah.
It's on tape now.
Right.
It's on tape.
Got to defend it.
It's the last game of the year. Like, you have to defend for it now. And you know what that does? It means the safety can't cheat up.
Right.
Anymore, because if they will, he's going to throw a dime.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool.
It's going to be a fun run. It's really cool for Tyler to get to go on that with them, and for the Staples-Motley football program. We talked about it at the broadcast yesterday on the sports desk as well. But to go from a winless season the year before to 7-1, I mean, that just shows the testament to what they do. We talk about this all the time with programs, Corey, off air. From one season to another, it can be hard to kind of carry over positive momentum, but negative momentum sure is a way of kind of sticking around.
It's so easy to get into that negative rut too. It takes almost nothing for everyone involved to be like, man, not for me.
And what they did instead is they got into the weight room, they lifted, they did the things that they need to. And we've talked about this all the time, Corey, on the sports desk and off the air. In high school football, you don't have to have the most talented guys on the field all the time. If you're just bigger and stronger and you can push them back and you can get 3.5 yards to carry every play, you're going to win. And the fact that the Cardinals were able to get into the weight room, do that. And I know there's other football programs across the region that do that, and they do a good job of doing that.
Yep.
And those are the teams that consistently win, are the teams that are just bigger and stronger. And that around here in small town football, that's what wins you football games. So it's really cool to see that turnaround for Staples-Motley. So all the props in the world to them.
There's a lot of complicated things in that sport.
Mm-hmm.
One of the easiest things is just be strong.
Yeah.
Just be strong. Everything else will kind of come with it.
You know, I simply would just be stronger than my opponent. Obviously, it's just super easy to figure out.
Right.
Yeah.
Fairly straightforward. So anyway, playoffs start on Tuesday. Wadena Deer Creek will play on Tuesday. Looking at that section in particular, there's only 5 teams in that section. The Wolverines will play on Tuesday. Staples-Motley will be the 2 seed, I believe.
Yes.
And they'll be off until Saturday. It will just be one game in that section. It's so wild on Tuesday.
And Staples-Motley's one loss of the season was to the Pillager Huskies, who they will play at Staples-Motley
as a 3
seed a week from Saturday. So that's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, we've got a lot of nice football around the region again this year, which hallelujah.
And got a lot of good volleyball too coming up as well next week. We'll dive into that schedule once we get to that point, but it's coming. It's coming.
I want to just skip around in the order a little bit if I can here, because it is worth mentioning, but then I want to give us plenty of time to talk about kind of a silly scenario.
Sure.
A few Twins players are in as finalists for Gold Glove, which is a big deal.
Yeah, so Pablo Lopez and Sonny Gray were both nominated. So each position gets a Gold Glove, which for those who don't know is the best defensive player at each position.
Yes.
That's the award that's given.
And then the unwritten caveat to that is you also have to hit.
Yeah, the unwritten because
Doug Minkiewicz never won on.
The unwritten thing about, I'm going to get on a soapbox about Gold Gloves. It's voted on by the writers, baseball writers, the Baseball Writers Association of America. They are horrible at picking Gold Glove finalists. You want to know how? Max Kepler is not a finalist for Gold Glove. And look, I have my issues with Max Kepler as a hitter. He had a great second half. More power to him. The one thing that I never criticize Max Kepler for is his defense. That dude's one of the best only Mookie Betts is a better right fielder than him.
Right.
And Mookie Betts is in
the would be a Gold Glover at every position on the field, probably.
Right. And Betts is in the National League.
Right.
So the American League Gold Glovers, basically, here's what you have to do. You have to be on a good team. And then you have to play 100 games at a certain position.
Okay.
And then you have to be an above average hitter.
Sure.
That's how Luis Arraez was nominated for a Gold Glove at first base last year.
Right.
Like, I love Luis Arraez, and he did as good of a job he did a good enough job at first base for what they were asking him to do. Yep. But to say he was a top 3 defensive first baseman in the league, it's ridiculous. So and the reason is because it was hard to evaluate defensive players back in the day because all you had was fielding percentage and maybe like some anecdotal memories of a guy making a good play. It's why it's why Sonny Gray's pickoff plays are probably going to win him the goal. That pickoff play he had in the wild card series is probably going to win him a Gold Glove.
Right.
Like the other Gold Glove finalist, by the way, is Jose Barrios.
So the pitcher category. There's 3 finalists at every position. And 2 of the pitching finalists are Pablo Lopez and Sonny Gray.
Yep.
And the third one is Jose Barrios.
Yeah, I'm cool with whoever wins that award.
I'm not. I don't want Jose Barrios to win it.
Yeah.
He doesn't play for my team anymore.
I need Pablo to win it for the narratives.
Right.
And so Carlos Correa is the other one, obviously. That's more of a legacy thing than it is anything else. He's made some good plays. He's been very good defensively. We've seen the rocket arm. We've also seen him kind of start to like one-hop throws to first base now. But, I mean, the range isn't quite...
Might be a philosophy, by the way. You throw it down into the dirt and give him a big hop so you don't airmail it into the 15th row of the bleachers. You know what I mean? They used to do it in the Metrodome especially.
Mm-hmm.
If you see play inside, they throw it into the dirt on purpose.
Yeah.
His arm has probably saved him. His range probably wasn't as good this year as it's been in the past.
No,
and you're right. That's probably a legacy pick more than anything. But he's
probably going to win it though.
Pretty darn good. He made some unbelievable plays in that wild card series,
and even to close out Game 2 in the division series against Houston.
Yes.
So again, plays like those are anecdotal, but because the writers don't watch every game, and certain writers on the committee are not, let's just say, like they're not into the quote unquote analytics. So they're definitely only looking at fielding percentage.
Well, probably it means Carlos Correa is the best chance to win.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think he will win the Gold Glove. Which, look, don't get me wrong. I'm for the narratives, I'm okay with. Of course, okay with Correa winning the Gold Glove. But Nolan Arenado, who's won the Gold Glove every single year of his career, did not get nominated as a finalist.
Wow.
Because the Cardinals stunk this year. So obviously he must have had a bad defensive year.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how this logic goes. All right, that's our Gold Glove conversation there. I think Sonny Gray is going to win, He'll win the Gold Glove for the pitchers. I think Carlos Correa wins Gold Glove for shortstops.
All right, can I throw a ridiculous question your way?
Uh-huh.
I want to give credit where credit is due. I often listen to the Bill Simmons podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And he threw this thing out in his conversation, in his podcast that comes out every Sunday night, Monday morning, whenever it is.
Sure.
And it was just kind of a throwaway comment where he said it out loud and basically he disclaimered it by saying, it's kind of silly that this is the situation. And the guy he was talking to was like, yeah, you know what? That is kind of weird. And then they just moved on. It was just like a throwaway comment. I was like, oh, this is fun. This is actually a fun conversation. It's in regards to football. And we often have this conversation in regards to football about silly rule changes, right?
Sure.
For example, one like fumbling out of the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
Okay. Should that really be a turnover and given to the other team? This one is in regards to a safety.
Okay.
Now, just to remind you what a safety is, it's when the defense tackles somebody in the end zone, everybody throws prayers up to the Lord. It's 2 points in the ball, correct?
Uh-huh.
If you get a safety. Considering the rarity of a safety, is 2 points and the ball a proper reward for how difficult and how momentum swinging it actually is? Like, how is a safety worth fewer points than a field goal, which teams get on almost every possession? And what should the value of a safety actually be?
Is this rhetorical, or do you have like an answer in mind?
No, that's the question.
That's the question?
That's not rhetorical. I want what you think. If you need a moment, let me throw out a few possibilities.
Yeah, go for it here.
One of the possibilities is shut up, quit overthinking it. It's fine. Because you get the ball back. Right. You get the points and the ball. That's a big deal.
They have to punt it, by the way, not kick it too.
Correct. So maybe it's all moot after that. But it's certainly more difficult to get. So shouldn't it be worth at least what a field goal is worth and the ball? Should it be worth more? I mean, how many safeties have you seen this year in your high school football season? How many safeties are we going to see this year watching Vikings games? Like, we're going to see 2 safeties all season long, probably.
Yeah.
Like actually physically with our own eyes. Should it be 4 points? Should a safety be worth more points, but you don't get the ball back? You know what I mean? Like, hey, you got a safety, that's 5 points. You kick off to them, they start over.
Right. I don't know. I think part of me thinks it's probably fine where it's at, mainly because of getting the ball back on a punt. And then so you get your couple points, and then you have a chance to go, because then theoretically, if you do go kick a field goal, you do get the 5 points.
You get the 5.
You get the 5 because you're basically going to be pretty like one first down and you're in field goal range.
Yep.
Pretty much where you're going to get that ball, because again, you're punting it instead of kicking it. But I say if you are going to change the rule, change it to something like 2 points is very weird to give out in football.
It is weird.
So make it 4 points. Make like no 5 points, no nothing that's round. 4 points. If you're going to change it, that's my
4 points and the ball back.
Yeah, 4 points in the ball back. You know what? 4.5 points. That way we can avoid a tie.
Listen, we don't need to be ridiculous with this.
No, I mean, if you're going to do it,
right,
do it in a way that's going to like.
It just was interesting to me. Now, I think the point of getting the ball back is the main focus. You get some points and you get the ball back and a chance to score again. But like you said, 1 first down, you're in field goal range. They're kind of assuming 5 points. They're kind of assuming 5 points anyway. So why not just award the 5 points and then you kick off to them and they get the ball back and everything just kind of resets? It's weird. It's
because you can still theoretically get a touchdown, which is why the 5 points are automatic, but you can turn it into 9 points.
Right. But to me, the interesting part is you score and get the ball. It's like this weird, nowhere else in football does that happen where you score and you get to keep the ball for some reason.
Well,
like you scored it's the other team's turn to try to score. That's where I'd up the ante, like you said, like make it 4 points or make it 5 points, but then you just kick off again.
I was going to say, yeah, you got to make it worth the other team's while, because otherwise too many teams are just going to take safeties to we're backed up at the 1 yard line. Instead of turning the ball over here or losing the field position game.
Great point.
Let's just take the safety and we'll give up the 2 points and we'll give the ball back, and we get the ball back. So we're just going to hit the reset button, especially in late game situations. Team has to go 99 yards and they're down by, let's say they're down by 4 points, and then you just take a safety.
Hey,
down by 6, you still need to get that touchdown anyways.
Vikings.
So a whole bunch of things in that situation. But
Minnesota hosts San
overall,
Francisco
I mean, it's probably fine where it's at with that safety rule.
Gopher football.
This has been the morning sports desk for Thursday, October 19th. It's 7:32 on KWAD. Here's M&N News.
Timberwolves are in Chicago to wrap up the preseason slate. 7 o'clock tip.